Hey guys, what's going on? 2-Bit Jesus here for another episode of 2-Bit Talks. So it's been a few days since I posted a video. It's been very busy here once again with job and family. Sometimes it gets a bit overwhelming and I'm not able to do a video every night, but I am trying to make sure that I get some more consistency out. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get to today's topic. I want to piggyback on a video I did previously about the zeitgeist of the gaming community. I want to just go ahead and put a disclaimer. This video isn't really meant to be a shot at any of these hardware manufacturers. I'm not trying to stoke console wars. I'm just trying to breathe a little truth into this dialogue that happens between various people in the community when it comes to the different companies. And essentially, like, what we have right now, for better or worse, is, oh, the Switch is doing awesome, Nintendo's doing awesome, oh, Sony is just all-powerful and dominating everyone, and Microsoft just sucks. And that's pretty much the idea. And for better or worse, some of those points are well taken. You know, Nintendo is doing well. Sony, I don't think, is all-powerful and dominating. I think they are the top dog, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're omnipotent. I mean, they could easily lose that place in the market. Easily. So this idea of thinking that, oh, well, what I hate is the conventional wisdom is, oh, things in the few months to a year, things in the future are going to be just like now, only more so. It always leads you astray. No, it's not. And I think a lot of the community is thinking, oh, well, Sony's on top. So, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 4 years from now, they're still going to be on top. And that's not necessarily the truth. That's not how the world works. It never has worked that way. And that's what bugs me, I guess is what I'm getting at here is it bugs me that seems to always, be the pervasive, no matter who I talk to. Whether it be a Sony fan, a Nintendo fan, an Xbox fan, or just a person in the middle, or a person who doesn't know too much about games. If they have a little bit of knowledge of games, it's usually just kind of what's on the surface of the community. You see it in articles that are posted. It's always constantly, oh, Sony's dominating this month again, or oh, Xbox has no exclusives, and it's this narrative, and I'm not like some crap gamers who think there's this big conspiracy going on towards Microsoft. I don't think that. I just think that there was a narrative that was rightfully started at the start of this generation because Xbox came out of the gate and what they were giving consumers was like a wet fart in church on Sunday, and it sucked and it stank. Alright, now Xbox has done a complete 360, haha, get it, 360, and they actually have a really good product now, I feel. And people, the consumer, and the narrative that was created at the start of the generation is still there, and it's hard to overturn that. And that's another problem I have is I'm trying to tell people, well, no, that's not true about Xbox, or oh no, that's not true about Sony. So what I'm going to get into here, pretty much what this video is going to be at, after I rambled there for a second, is all three companies have posted their net profits for the year. And some interesting numbers came out. I'm just going to run off the top numbers here. And again, this is not a slight against any of the companies. Nintendo's net profit for last year was $1.62 billion. Of course, that was helped out by the Switch. And they are doing gangbusters. I believe it's like a 505% increase in revenue. So they are definitely, Nintendo's not going anywhere. The Wii U was just a blip in the radar. Sony, weirdly enough, I don't think that these numbers are exactly the exact numbers. I think maybe people round up or round down on these articles, which, if I remember, sometimes I'm terrible at remembering to post the articles, but these are articles that I found that were reporting on the profits these companies were saying that they made. But Sony made what Nintendo made, $1.62 billion. And again, this is because Sony, of course, is still the hardware leader. They are selling more PS4s than their competition is selling Xboxes or Switches. They are coming out with really awesome exclusives that are selling really well. Now, I know sometimes on my channel, I'll poke fun at Sony because they have like almost 80 million units sold on the market, and their exclusives, which are so awesome that everyone must own, only are ever able to crack 10 million units sold or get close to around 15 million units, and they have like 80 million PS4s out on the market. That's really bad. That's a really bad attachment rate. That being said, though, if a game sells 10 to 15 million units, that's a blockbuster hit. So it's not saying that the games suck. They're awesome, they're successful, they're blockbusters. But it is saying something about Sony being able to get all of their user base to buy their products. They can't. Again, it's a very diverse user base, and that's a very hard thing to do. The only company I see that ever consistently has a decent attachment rate is Nintendo. They'll come out with a console, and usually half the people who own that console will buy their games, like their Mario games and their Zelda games. So they're the only ones I've ever seen who are ever able to consistently hit that 50% attachment rate to the install base. Anyway, as I was saying, they hit $1.62 billion for the fiscal year. Now, this is all great. These companies are doing great. They're doing gangbusters. Now, let's move over to Microsoft. And as you guys all know, Microsoft, it's just like the Wii U. It's failing. No one likes it. No one's buying it. Everyone hates it. It sucks. It stinks. No one wants it. You might as well just throw it in the trash can, because that's the best place to put it. You need to buy a PS4 and then buy a Switch to go along with your PS4 and just be happy. So let's look at their sales figures here. I bet it's $1. Oh, nope. Let's see here. The Xbox business saw revenue rise 18% to $2.25 billion. That's more than Sony. That's actually nearly, almost double what Sony did. Now, these aren't the entire companies. If you wanted to say the entire companies, well, then Microsoft did like 26 some odd billion dollars. But these are just the Xbox division and the PlayStation division. And they did $2.25 billion. Now, that's not saying Sony did a bad job. Sony's doing awesome. They're firing on all cylinders. That's not saying that Sony sucks, but that is saying that this idea that Microsoft sucks, or not Microsoft, but that Xbox sucks, and that they're not doing anything, and that they're failing, and they're flailing around. They have their problems, don't get me wrong, but I feel like the attitude gamers had towards the Wii U, they are now starting to have towards, or they've had towards, the Xbox One. And as you can see, it's not true. It's just, it doesn't match with reality. If Microsoft was really doing terrible, would they be posting more profits than their competition? Now, of course, their profits aren't coming from hardware sales. I mean, I honestly think they're not posting their hardware sales, obviously, because Sony sells way more than them. But they're not doing bad. They're doing, I would probably say, mediocre. Like, when Sony hits 80 billion, the Xbox One's probably sitting around 40 billion. So, Sony is outselling them 2-to-1 in the hardware market. But obviously, Microsoft is killing Sony in other spaces, like their Xbox Live program, their Game Pass program, all of that. When it comes to online, Sony is getting slaughtered by Microsoft. So yeah, I hope this video helps dispel some of those, I guess you could call them untruths about what's going on in the gaming industry today. Again, I think all three companies are doing extremely well, and they uniquely are strong in different areas, and that's a good thing. It's rare that you enter into an era where the console manufacturers are all doing well. You go back to the 5th generation with the 64, the PlayStation 1, of course the Sega Saturn. I could go down the list, there was a bunch of other consoles too, but let's just say those three. In that generation, the Sega Saturn failed. The N64, it did decently in certain markets, but mostly failed, and the PS1 dominated. You move on to the 6th generation with the PS2, the Xbox, and the GameCube, and the Dreamcast. Dreamcast died. Nintendo and Microsoft struggled to have even just an inch of the market, and the PS2 dominated. You move on to the 7th generation, and the Wii completely dominated, and then it just became a race for second place between Sony and Microsoft completely destroyed Sony for the first half of that generation, and then towards the end of the generation, the PS3 finally caught up, but it took a good, half decade for them to even get to that point. And my point with that little rant is that most generations you have companies that are doing well, and then the other ones are struggling to even get anything. Where in this generation, all three of them are doing extremely well. And that's a rare thing to have, and I think it should be a celebrated thing, because this means developers, especially smaller developers, they have a lot of choices of where to put their product at. They have a lot more freedom and choice, If they don't like what the deal that Microsoft is giving them, if it's like, hey, we want to get our game on your console, or we want you on our console, this gives them a bit more wiggle room and freedom in negotiating. And if they can't get what they want with Xbox, well, then they could go, well, okay, that's cool. Sony said they'll allow us to keep the rights to the IP and still let us on their console. You see what I mean? When all three are performing well, the industry as a whole is doing really well. And yeah, so I hope this further disproves, I don't know what I'm going to title this video, but I hope this further, dispels the whole console wars, Sony's better, no, Xbox is better, that whole stupid argument stuff. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think of all of this. As always, please be sure to hit that like button, hit that share button, and show all of your friends this awesome content. And most importantly, hit the subscribe button and the little dingy bell in the corner. That way you get notifications every time we post a video or we go live on a live stream. That's it for me today, guys. As always, stay safe and play on.